and Information 570 AM.
96.3 FM HD2. KLIF Dallas. KSCS FM HD2 Fort Worth. KLIF.com.
A Cumulus station.
Now, from the 5th floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruzinga.
Good morning, DFW Metroplex. It's Inside Real Estate. This is Mike Kruzinga, your local DFW area realtor. Time to talk all things real estate, talk a little insurance, mortgage, maybe title talk, maybe some sports and entertainment, all kinds of good stuff. Hope everybody's having a good day out there. It's most of you probably woke up to your first frost of the year. I certainly did over in Arlington. It was 31 degrees out there, and you know what? I was ill prepared. I did not get my plants from the back patio covered up, and last year I threw them in the garage, and they did make it back into the spring, so I'll probably do that this year, and hopefully they'll make it through. But you know what? As I was driving out of the neighborhood, you know who's always prepared for the first frost, because they have all their stuff covered up out in the front yard. And I'm never that prepared. I know it's coming. I know winter comes, fall comes, and I'm never prepared. But, it's Sunday, November 22. Going to be heading into the Thanksgiving week, so everybody's probably getting ready for Thanksgiving and all that good stuff. So hope everybody's getting ready for that and having fun. What do we got today? Let's talk about... let me give you some information first. Let's call number 888-787-KLIF, 888-787-KLIF. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. You can connect with us, all of our partners, as well as be part of the show or advertise on the show. Don't forget our app, DFW Metroplex Real Estate. If you search that in your app store for either Droid or Apple, it's boom right there. So if you know anybody that's needing to be looking for real estate, or if you're in the market to look at real estate, that gives you all the greatest information right there here in the DFW area. That's DFW Metroplex Real Estate in your app store. So check that out. Here's what we got going on today. Coming up 8:15, we got Insurance Talk. JC Harder is back live and in studio, so we are excited to talk to JC live and in person. He's back. Who else do we have? We have Angela Meineke in studio today. She's coming up 8:45. Mortgage Talk with Supreme Lending Rockwall. And our Title Talk folks did not quite make it in this morning. They were coming up around 8:30, but we will do some other stuff in the meantime for them. So let's get to a little bit of this day in history. What's going on back in time? November 22, back in time. Let's go to 1497. Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama rounds the Cape of Good Hope on the way, first voyage from Europe to reach India. That was big back in the day. Let's go to 1903. FDR popped the question to Eleanor, and she said yes, and they became engaged. What else we got here? 1955, RCA paid a very small sum, about the number of a regular price car these days, to Sun Records for what? The rights to Elvis Presley. And wow, best investment, best thing RCA ever did. And that was back in 1955. Bought the rights to Elvis Presley, bought his contract from Sun Records for basically what the cost of an average size car costs today. 1963, of course, the fateful day here in Dallas. And this was the day, November 22, 1963. Fateful day here in Dallas. JFK passed away. 1965, Muhammad Ali TKOs Floyd Patterson in 12. 1968, I thought this was funny. For you Star Trek fans out there, 1968, the first, I guess this was a big deal back in the day. 1968, first interracial TV kiss. Captain Kirk and Uhura Captain Kirk and Uhura. That was a big deal back in the day in 1968. Captain Kirk, he was always getting all the women, wasn't he? Every show, I remember, he was just scoring. And every time I do research for This Day in History segment, it never matters what day or what year, one of the major powers of the world is performing a nuclear test. 1968, U.S. performs nuclear test at the Nevada test site. 1981, USSR performs nuclear test in Kazakhstan. Every time, I tell you, this is on here every single time I do research for, we're always doing, it's amazing we're not all walking around green. There's been so many nuclear tests all over the world. 1989, Kirby Puckett, at the time, signed a record deal of $3 million a year with the Twins. That's nowhere near the big money it is today. 1990, Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, announced her resignation as Prime Minister. Of course, the late Margaret Thatcher passed away in 2013 of a stroke. Had a series of strokes since 2002. By the way, if you didn't catch the Iron Lady movie with Meryl Streep, that was an amazing movie. You might want to check that out. 95, Toy Story released first feature-length film, completely using computer-generated imagery. That was a funny movie. Tim Allen was hilarious in that. 05, Angela Merkel becomes the first female chancellor of Germany. And hey, folks, that's This Day in History, November 22nd. Back in time. Let's talk a little bit of real estate real quick. By the way, folks, we are here for all of your real estate needs, buying, selling, otherwise. And to all of our listeners in the outer rings of our reach here, we can take care of you as well. So all of our folks out in the rural areas, don't forget about us. I told you we had a listing that we put on in Pflugerville. We got it under contract within 1 week, had a couple offers on it. Same client. We got some of the best relocation experts in Houston to take care of them. And within 2 days down there on our referral, because we only work with the best in every city, whether it's in Texas, or across the nation. If you're moving out of state, we can get you the best agent somewhere else. So why not let the best here in your hometown take care of finding you the best and where your new hometown is going to be. We did that for this client. So not only took care of getting their house on the market in Pflugerville, that's in Austin, folks, not even here in DFW, in Austin, under contract, couple contracts we had on that thing actually with a backup, over asking, and then we got them with the best agent down in Houston. They got under contract down there in 2 days. Super excited about that. So, we can sell it anywhere. We've got some appointments coming up right after Thanksgiving, the week of December 1st. I'm going down to Hubbard to pick up a listing down there near Hillsboro, and I've got a great appointment set up in Glen Rose for a really nice ranch down there, and we're excited to hopefully pick up that listing. And we've actually had a lot of folks call in from Granbury, so that we're going to be taking care of as well. So if you're in those outer reach areas, hey, we've got you covered. Recently sold one up near Bonham in the small town of Ravenna, up near the Red River. So we're all over the Metroplex, folks. So, not only just, here in the DFW area, the mid-cities and otherwise, but all over, absolutely all over the area. I want to talk about, this came up with a client recently. We want to talk about roofing, and I'm not going to have enough time to get through all of that in this segment before the break, but we'll come back later in the show and talk a little bit more about this. But had a client, selling their property, and we've got, this is a regular thing out there. People come in, agents come in with their buyers, and everybody is scared to death about roofs. And I don't know when exactly this happened, but people are absolutely just scared to death. The roof is just going to fall apart. They think they can look at it from the ground. Oh, your roof is shot. And what are you talking about? The roof was replaced a few years ago, 5 years ago. Even if the roof was replaced 12 years ago, talking about a 30-year roof here, it hasn't even reached half life. So the thing's got another, 18 years to go at 12 years old, assuming normal conditions. Now if it's been beat up by hail, or if it's got heavy, you have heavy trees and a lot of debris, foliage, on your roof, then maybe it's a different story. But under normal conditions, your roof is going to last generally pretty darn close to, if not exceeding, its life expectancy, whether it's a 20-year roof, a 30-year roof, or a 40-year roof. They're not just throwing those numbers out there. Those are numbers that should, in normal conditions, normal wear and tear, should last. No problem. Watertight, unless you have extenuating circumstances, like you have a lot of trees, you have a lot of debris, or if you've had hail, different story. So you have to beware of this as a seller, that buyers may come in and try to take advantage of you, and they may seek out an agent that is either very inexperienced and will just go along with whatever the buyer says, because honestly, a lot of agents, unfortunately, are very inexperienced. And even if they've been doing it for 30 years, they have no idea what a good roof looks like at this point, or not. And that's unfortunate. But those buyers might be seeking out those types of agents and just sort of lead that agent along, because that agent would like to get ultimately the home sold and get paid. So we got to be careful about that. But folks, we're going to be up against a break. So I tell you what, we'll come back and talk a little more about roofs and how to navigate that as a seller here a little bit later in the show. Folks, Mike Rzinga, Inside Real Estate. We'll be back in a few.
Millennium Title Carroll PC Real Estate is a unique multi-service real estate title, law, and real estate investment firm that handles over 150 commercial and residential closings each month. Their real estate, legal, and tax services range from purchases to refinances to short sales and reverse mortgages. They can handle all of your real estate, legal, and tax planning needs. Their experience offers clients and investors a comprehensive perspective in managing their real estate, law, and investment needs. Visit txtitleattorney.com, that's txtitleattorney.com, or call 817-310-0136.
With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731-6730, Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, Mike Rzinga, Inside Real Estate. We are back. It's InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Call in 888-787-KLIF, 888-787-KLIF. We're going to roll on into our insurance segment. And you know what? Stay tuned on that roofing stuff, because we're going to talk about that more in the show. I got more to say about that, because these agents out there that just try to take advantage of the sellers, and the buyers out there that try to take advantage of the sellers to get new roofs really makes me mad, just because they're like, oh, well, the insurance can just replace it. Oh, yeah, because it's just that easy. It doesn't mean the seller has to make a claim and all that. We will get back to that later in the show. That really ticks me off. I tell you, it does. It really does. Hey, how about some insurance talk? We're going to get J.C. Harder in here, jcharderagency.com, jcharderagency.com from Goosehead Insurance. Phone number where you can always catch those folks, 214-643-6109, 214-643-6109 for all of your insurance needs. J.C., welcome back.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm better now with Tony Romo coming today.
Well, that's right. Hopefully, maybe we'll pick up a win. Maybe
7 in a row.
That would certainly be nice. Certainly be nice. But they let go Wheaton this past Tuesday, and I feel bad for him, because honestly, he didn't play that bad.
He had
the 4 losses, but he didn't play that bad.
I think that's pretty much because Castle played so much better.
But I suppose I blame it all on the play calling. The play calling drives me nuts. I talk about this with friends and colleagues. The play calling of the Cowboys drives me absolutely nuts. But Anyway, we'll see what they can come up with today. A win would be nice. So, well, let's. I know we can always talk sports all day long. That would be nice, but let's talk a little bit of insurance. What's going on in the insurance world today? What great information do you have for us today?
We're going to continue our segment of how we've been just basically highlighting some of the carriers that we write for. The last couple of weeks, we've focused on more of the bigger guys, the national companies that you recognize and spend, $1 million on advertising. This morning, I want to focus on a local company that, you won't see on TV doing their marketing. They do rely on independent agents like myself, but they write the same type of policy as those big guys. And, they have, sometimes even better claims experience because you're dealing with a little bit better customer service and a more local company in general.
Sure.
The carrier, the name itself is called Homeowners of America Insurance Company, and they are based in Irving or the Las Colinas area. So what's really nice about all of our, local DFW properties and everything, when claims, correspondence, inspectors, adjusters, anything related when you need the insurance, they are, literally right down the road from you. So everything is very quick. And, typically they get back to you a little bit quicker than that 24 to 48 hour, time frame like that. And, first kind of question is, why do I want to put my insurance with a smaller company? Just because they are smaller, Goosehead only represents A-rated carriers. So what that means in English is they have the money to pay out in case something does happen. They are financially stable. So, and there's, tons of rating different companies out there, but they are A-rated, for when claims do happen.
That's always important. If you have a claim, you would like to have it paid, wouldn't you?
Because, in the, mid to late 2000s all the hurricanes in Houston, everything did knock out a lot of insurance companies that didn't have A ratings. So when they had to pay out just so many claims and roofs and wind and, water damage and everything like that, well, they went under and had to leave Texas because they lost their money, where this company kind of came to fame. A little interesting stat on them is after Hurricane Katrina, they had 80% of their claims taken care of within the first month. So,
wow. That's unbelievable.
Even they were new to Texas at that time, so they saw an opportunity, to step above the rest there. And, even the CEO, Spencer Tucker, was down there, personally handing out claim checks for those, catastrophic events there.
Wow. Because, obviously we know about all the devastation down there, and
you only hear the bad, you never hear the good.
Exactly. And that's an amazing story that 80%.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing.
And literally, they've never looked back since then. Obviously that was about 7 to 8 years ago, and now they're getting bigger and bigger. They write a better product. Let's kind of just go through some of the highlights. What makes them competitive is, they focus on home insurance. They don't write any auto insurance, where most of your Travelers, Safeco's, Hartford's, they write both lines and say package everything with us.
Okay.
Homeowners of America will still give you a bundle discount, but it doesn't matter who you have as long as it's within our agency. So we can shop 12 to 15 different auto companies. Whoever's competitive on that will still give you that bundle discount on the home side.
Okay.
So that, from a consumer standpoint, it doesn't make, one company's not the best for everybody every single time. So you can truly maximize your savings and, go through, a Goosehead agent like myself and really look at the entire picture and, get the best savings there.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we always say is that, you need to check in with JC and Patty, because they're going to search all of these brands that they have access to and find you the best match for you for all of your needs, and, lower your rates, give you better policies. And we talk every week about the quality of the policy, and that JC takes the time to go through everything and talk to you about everything to make sure you're absolutely covered in every single possible way. And so if you've been listening to our insurance segment, where we're absolutely learning a lot for all you folks out there, you can tell about his expertise and that he knows what he's talking about, folks. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mike. Also, another big highlight with Homeowners of America is almost everybody in the industry surcharges for prior claims, whether if it's a $100 window glass claim or a $10,000 broken pipe claim. Almost everybody surcharges for those. With Homeowners of America, they will not surcharge you. It's just an eligibility issue. So they will look at the entire risk. They'll look at the condition of the home, the applicant itself, the age of the roof, things like that. So they're going to look at the overall picture and say, yes, we'll take this risk versus no, we won't, opposed to saying, okay, yes, we'll take it, but we'll put a $400 surcharge a year on there. So It can be, people that have, typically the people that come from captive agencies that call and ask questions to their agents, those get marked down as claims, and then that can hurt them in the long run, just having to pay that surcharge. But with Homeowners of America, it's strictly an eligibility issue.
Gotcha. So they're looking at that claim history, and then, of course, the property, simply assessing the risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, if it is a small little claim, you don't – it stinks that, people, don't realize, or they have to pay hundreds of dollars a year for that small claim, but this is an extra little benefit of them. They'll say, okay, we won't surcharge you for that. And, yes, we'll still take you.
Right. And that's huge. Again, folks, if you're listening, what JC can do for you with being able to have access to all of these brands, and we're in a kind of a rolling segment right now where we've been talking about different ones. We've talked about Safeco and several of the others. Now it's Homeowners of America. He's got access to all of these guys, and each one's a little bit unique, just like you are unique out there. And he's going to find the right combination of policies and carriers for you for your unique situation.
Absolutely. Another big highlight for them is they give a huge new purchase discount. So obviously that's a big deal in our world with the real estate. So, any new home buyer, whether if it's a 5-year-old home, a 1-year-old home, or a 50-year-old home, you're still going to get a new purchase discount. So, that's the type of clientele that they want. And a even bigger highlight is they're really after the new builds here in the area. So, and especially, considering how many, new construction homes are going up, they have an accredited builder discount. So if it is with a reputable building company, they're going to get that new purchase discount, and they're going to get a builder discount. And if the home was within 5 years, they will not look at credit of the applicant either.
Wow.
Which, in Texas, most of your carriers do use credit as a rating factor. So Homeowners of America is saying, hey, it's a newer home. We don't expect there to be as many problems.
Right.
We'll reward you for that, right off the top.
Well, that's pretty huge because, honestly, most buyers are going to be low down buyers, maybe zero down, maybe using state funds potentially. Of course, you got VA buyers going zero down, some USDA zero down. But even if they're just going the typical FHA, which is, 90+% of all the transactions, they're 3.5% down. And a lot of times they're at the lower end of the credit score range. And so that may impact them, whereas, where you're looking at the situation for this particular home buyer and you're saying, well, this might be the best match because they're not going to give them a ding for, where their credit score is on the lower end of the range. They may have an average, decent credit score, but if it's not at the high end, they could get a little bit of a ding, but not with these guys.
Absolutely. For our investors as well too, some companies won't write a landlord policy in the name of an LLC. However, this company will, so it's really good for the investors out there. We can list them off as an additional interest, and they're perfectly okay with that. And they're very competitive with that as well. And it just, from an ease, I had a client this week moving out of the Fort Worth area and, going to keep the home turned into a rental. Well, it was an easy little reshop, new policy, and we were able to transfer funds from the old one to the new one. Just, convenience and easy from a consumer standpoint.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. Hey, folks, we're going to head into a break real quick. We're going to come back with JC from jcharderagency.com, Goosehead Insurance. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate with Mike Krasinga. We'll be back in a few.
Millennium Title Carroll PC Real Estate is a unique multi-service real estate title, law, and real estate investment firm that handles over 150 commercial and residential closings each month. Their real estate, legal, and tax services range from purchases to refinances to short sales and reverse mortgages. They can handle all of your real estate, legal, and tax planning needs. Their experience offers clients and investors a comprehensive perspective in managing their real estate law and investment needs. Visit txtitleattorney.com, that's txtitleattorney.com, or call 817-310-0136.
With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 21173167330 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, Inside Real Estate, Mike Rosinga. We are back. InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. We're going to finish up with JC Harder. Website, jcharderagency.com, jcharderagency.com. Phone number where you can always reach them for all of your insurance needs, 214-643-6109, 214-643-6109. So let's finish up, JC, on what we were talking about there.
Okay, we'll wrap it up with basically just highlight Homeowners of America's water coverage. And again, hope you're not tired of hearing about water coverage, but in our world, it's just such an important feature of these policies. And again, no policy is created equal. So, if you come to Goosehead and the J.C. Harder Agency, we're always going to focus on, top of the line water coverage so your home is protected. And those couple different features of the water coverage, specifically the foundation coverage, water backing up, sudden and accidental. With Homeowners of America's base policy, all those coverages are included. How most of our other companies, you do have to add them on and pay them, a line item per year. And that really goes into, you might see it on your deck page and say, oh, I can save $50 a year, but lose $25,000 of coverage. Mm-hmm. Well, with Homeowners of America, it's built into their policy. They're after, the less claim type of people, they agree and want the best type of water coverage for their clients as well too. So they just build that in without you having to pay extra.
Right.
And then they have so that's their base policy is a really good one. And then they even have that maxed out, that HOB that has the seepage or slow leakage. And again, what that means in English is most of these carriers, if you don't find a leak within the first 14 days of that leak, that turns into a seepage or slow leakage claim. Well, it's a couple $100 more a year, but at the same time, you're getting an extra huge layer of coverage for those slow leaks. So if it is a pinhole leak behind a wall, in the attic, things like that, you don't have to worry about when it starts if you have that top of the line coverage with them.
Well, and a lot of times that's what happens. Not always do you have just a catastrophic water event. It is just the failure over time, and that's where you need to be covered for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to wrap up with Homeowners of America, they're a great local company. They write the better type of policy like all the big guys. However, you're just not going to see them on TV. They rely on independent agents like myself. But they write the condos, the townhomes, the rental properties, renters insurance. They have an overall broad market. They have really good product, and we can always bundle and combine, with your other lines of business.
Sure. So, folks, that's, having access to somebody like JC and Patty and all of the brands that they can touch, like he's just saying, this isn't one of those ones that you're going to see all the commercial ads for out there, but they have huge benefits, and guess what? JC knows all about it, and if it matches up to your needs, boom, he's going to get you taken care of with them. or any of the other brands that he has access to. Folks, for all of your insurance needs, you need to get with JC, whether it's home, car, toys, etc. Like we've talked about in the past. Get with him. He will shop everybody around and get honest numbers for you, and talk to you about all the details of each of these policies. Which you're not going to get from most agents. You're just not. And trust me, you want to switch. Once you talk to him, you're going to want to switch. You are, just by the sheer talking to him and the fact that he cares, you're going to want to switch. All things being equal. But guess what? He's going to find a better policy for you and a better rate for you. So that's just going to make it all the more better and just absolute gravy. Let's run back to I want to talk about that roofing a little bit more and maybe have your opinion thrown in here. So we have these agents out there, and that we talked about kind of earlier in the show, and the sellers can kind of get into a bind where, the roof's 5-10 years old, and everybody thinks you should just get a new roof, and you should just get one because it's so easy. The insurance is going to pay for it. The seller, is only going to have to come out of the pocket their deductible, maybe a little bit. But, there's so much more to it than that. You shouldn't just get a new roof just because you think it's easy. But first of all, it's not that easy. It's going to be a claim on your history. Okay. You got to come out of the deductible, which may be 1 or 2%, depending on your policy, whatever the homeowner's policy is. And not only, and all the hassle of that as well. And plus, you feel like you're getting taken advantage of, especially when the roof is in good condition. And these types of situations, folks, I'm talking about are situations where the roof is, at the 30-year roof, and maybe it's 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, not even at half life. Even if the roof was 20 years old into a 30-year roof and it was in good condition, and you have a good, honest roofer come out there and they say, hey, this roof is watertight. This thing's got another 10, 15 years or more on it. There's nothing wrong with this roof, and it looks fine too. Why do we have these agents doing that? It's so frustrating. And so on the seller side, as we represent these sellers, we've got to explain to the sellers what's going on. And then we've got to teach and coach the buyer's agent about roofing, and we have to try to find an honest roofer out there, because guess what? They brought, the inspector is just going to say, have a roofer check it out, because the inspector wants to CYA, and the roofer, if you get a roofer out there that's like, oh yeah, I can. The way they work now, they're like, I can get the adjusters to buy it. Well, sure, you can probably get them to buy anything, but that's not the point. And so, what's your feedback on that, JC?
Well, a couple prongs to that question, I guess. If we're talking about the seller side, I would, more than anything else, I think it's the unknown that scares the buyers. So if you are, a homeowner, and if you have any intention of selling within the next 5, 10, or 15 years, keep as much documentation as possible. There's so much left out on disclosures, or there's so, I think it's 10 years old, that I think is a big deal on the buyer side and on the insurance side, because,
sure.
Once then we start talking about different areas, because it's hard to, there's not a whole lot of 30-year roofs in DFW, but in the Austin area where there's not near as much hail, the roofs do last longer. So it is kind of area specific, but if you are on the seller side, just keep as much documentation, be honest on your disclosures there. And if you are on the buyer side, then, do maybe find a roofer, with your inspector to come out there and look together, as well. But yeah, just, filing a claim, trying to sell a house, I think is, I don't want to say of the norm, but it's definitely, you probably see it a lot more lately, because there is so many agents saying, we want that new roof. We want that new roof. So,
yeah,
but it needs a storm. You can't just make a claim,
right?
To make a claim because you're trying to sell a house. It has to be related to a storm, and that's going to do you more damage to trying to make a claim. And then, well, there hasn't been a storm here in 2.5 years. What's wrong with the roof if you've held it this long like that?
Exactly. Well, and it just kind of begets a bad cycle. When insurance rates rise because of all the roofing claims, and a lot of claims that didn't need to really be paid. Just because you get a little bit of hail, we get hail all the time. Sometimes, yeah, there's absolutely legitimate damage, but a lot of times, yeah, it's not doing anything, and we're getting these claims and the rates go up, so that's a bad thing. and folks, look, we're not talking about if the roof is in bad shape, then it's been in bad shape. And a couple of things are going to happen. The inspector is going to say, hey, this thing's in bad shape. And they're honestly going to say it's in bad shape. They're not going to just say, it's had normal wear and tear. You might want to, inspectors put normal verbiage in an inspection report, which basically says have a professional check anything out, whether it's electrician, plumbing, roofer, or whatever. They're going to say, hey, that's in really bad shape. The roofer is going to come out and get an honest roofer and say it's in really bad shape. 3, the insurance provider that you're planning to use is not going to be able to insure it. They're not going to insure it if it's in bad shape. 4, you're probably getting a loan on the property. The appraiser is going to see it, and they're going to come back and protect the lender and say, hey, we need to deal with the roof. So there's all these checks and balances there. So if there's a bad roof, you're going to find out on the buyer side, so it's not that the seller's trying to get something over on you. And yeah, absolutely, the sellers really need to disclose, and fill out those disclosures honestly. But in those situations where the buyer and or buyer's agent in particular, and it's kind of a fad that the buyer's agents are trying to get free roofs when they're not needed, we need to be watching that on the seller side for sure. And, protecting all parties. Obviously, you want to protect the buyer, know what you're buying, but you want to protect the seller as well from those types of, predatory buyers and or predatory buyer agents for sure. Folks, J.C. Harder, Goosehead Insurance Agency, jcharderagency.com. Phone number where they're always stand by for all your needs, insurance related, anything at all. And trust me, you're going to want to work with these guys. 214-643-6109. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate with Mike Rizinga. I'll be back in a few.
Do you know the difference between a business and a successful business? Excellent branding. You can increase your sales and branding recognition by attending a 1-hour free Cumulus radio branding seminar Wednesday, December 2nd. You'll learn the 4 keys of branding, how to use trigger events to drive business, and how to market your business. You'll even get a free lunch. To join us, call 214-523-2760. That's 214-523-2760. The SMU Tate Lecture Series presents the Encore Lecture featuring renowned documentarian Ken Burns. Along with previous projects Baseball, the War, and the Roosevelts, Burns is currently in production of Vietnam. The sold-out lecture will be held at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, December 1st in SMU's McFarland Auditorium. Produced by SMU. Presented by the Dallas Morning News. Sponsored in part by WFAA TV Channel 8, Rosewood Mansion on Turtle Creek, Wells Fargo, and 570 KLIF News and Information.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, Mike Rizinga, Inside Real Estate. We're back. InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. So, thought we would get into a little high school sports real quick. We've got a short little segment here before we get into our Supreme Lending Rockwall segment with Angela. So we're going to be talking mortgage with her here shortly. But let's catch up on what's going on. Area playoffs here, high school football. We like to talk a little high school football from time to time. What do we got here? Mesquite Poteet 46-43 over Wiley East. Let's kind of get through some of these big ones here. Lancaster, they won 30-23 in their game. Highland Park down by Waco Midway 50-31. Rowlett won theirs over Skyline. Mansfield Lake Ridge 77-51 over John Tyler. Oak Cliff South lost to Marshall. Wow, by a big margin, 35-3. Bishop Dunn picked up their game. North Mesquite on a close one over Killeen, 14-13 won theirs. Dallas Christian over Houston Lutheran, 70-39. Terrell up over Lovejoy, 28-27. Wiley still in the game, up 24-17 over Rockwall. Texarkana over Sainer. I remember playing Sainer back in the day. Denton Ryan over South Grand Prairie, 43-35. Arlington Martin, pretty big over Amarillo, 49-27. Salina, big over Monahan, 49-21. Arlington Lamar, 42-35 over El Paso. Crum, I remember officiating high school basketball over in Crum, 35-21 over Iowa Park. What else? We got Argyle, big win. So they're still in there. Aledo, whom we've had the head coach in here just a few weeks ago. Big win, no surprise, 52-3 over Denton. And by the way, if you missed that segment, catch the archives on InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Great conversation, head coach over there at Lido. Really enjoyed that, and really good talk with him. Denton Geyer over South Lake Carroll, 48-35. Mansfield, 48-21 over Flower Mound Marcus. Frisco Lone Star, big over Forney. Not surprising there, 55-13. Let's see what else we got here. Kennedale still in the run. Little small Kennedale. 47 over Athens, 26. Lake Dallas up, still in it. And Allen in a squeaker over DeSoto, 41-40. That kind of rounds out what's going on in the area playoffs, folks, for high school football. And as we said, Romo's back today. Hopefully we can pick up a win. I think we're going to get Sean Lee back. He's listed as probable. You know, Sean Lee gets a concussion every time he puts on his helmet. And, one of my favorite all-time players, really, I mean, he's just all over the field. I mean, he's a wrecking machine, but unfortunately every time he puts on the helmet, he literally gets a concussion. And I hate that. But he's probable. Hopefully we get him back, though, today. Mincy, thigh injury, questionable. McFadden, groin, questionable. Romo should be in. Claiborne's out, hamstring, ankle. Church is probable, ankle, banged up there. Hitchens, ankle, probable. And Rolando McLean, probable. So hopefully we'll get some of these guys that are questionable and probable in the game. McFadden was the big one. Like, hoping that's not something major there. Hopefully he's coming back and not too hurt. So maybe we can pick up a win today. Just maybe. So, folks, Inside Real Estate, Mike Razinga, guess what? We're going to come back and we're going to talk to Angela Meineke. We're going to talk all about mortgage talk, and we've got some great stuff coming your way. Hang tight. See you in a few.
Sellers, how would you like your home sold guaranteed? Buyers, how would you like your bid guaranteed to win? Well, it's real simple. Call Mike Krasinga with Chris Arnold Premier Realty and ask about their guarantee programs for both buyers and sellers. No one beats Mike's professional listing and marketing services for all price ranges, including luxuries and ranches. And few have the knowledge and patience to take first-time buyers from renting to home ownership in a tough market. Visit DFWMetroplexRealestate.com and mention you heard this on the radio. And listen to Mike Sundays, 8 a.m. on KLIF for Inside Real Estate.
You have been invited to DFW's first ever Country Fest, Saturday, December 12th at the Verizon Theater in Grand Prairie, with country stars Lee Brice, Tyler Farr, Dan and Shay, Peyton Smith, and Jamie Lynn Spears. Tickets are on sale now and start at only $9.63. Brought to you by Ace Cash Express. It's Country Fest 2015. Get your tickets today.
This is Sean Manning and Tom Caulfield of the Power Trading Radio Show, sponsored by the Online Trading Academy of Dallas.
We invite you to listen to our show this Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. on 570 KLIF.
If you're frustrated with your current rate of return on your retirement accounts, you'll not want to miss this show.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks. Inside Real Estate, Mike Razinga, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Time for another mortgage segment with our favorite folks over at Rocky Martin. Website, RockyMartin.com, Rocky with an IE, RockyMartin.com. Phone number where they are always standing by for all of your mortgage and refinance needs, 866-607-5667. Angela Meineke's in studio. Welcome back, Angela.
Hi, Mike. Thank you.
You were on a cruise recently, having a little vacation, I think. How did that go?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's always nice to cruise down to Mexico and, the end of or middle of November, maybe December, where it's sunny and 86 and you lay out on the beach and swimsuits and shorts and flip-flops, and then you come back here and it's 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so good for the allergies and the sinuses, but wonderful for, for the sense of being able to get away.
Yeah, soak up that vitamin D. so lucky to for those folks to live in an area where it's just 80 some odd degrees every day, all year long, isn't it?
You know, it's that way in California too. I visited out there, and I think year round it's between, say, 65 and 75, 12 months out of the year. Yeah, that's not so bad.
Always sunny in California.
That's not so bad.
Not so bad.
And then, us here in Texas, we're just used to the hot weather by nature. So this is like, system shock to us when it's 30.
Yeah, absolutely it is. We're used to the 110 and, we're just fine.
Well, sure. And then, I have friends in Minnesota who would be literally walking around in shorts and flip-flops in today's weather.
Right.
Because they're thrilled about it.
Yeah, I'd just be sitting on the front patio with a glass of sweet tea, 110 degrees, and that's just fine.
Hey, that's why we live here. That's why we love it.
Well, let's talk some mortgage. What do we got this show?
Well, speaking of, Texas and glass of sweet tea out on the front rocking porch, let's talk about rural development loans. So this particular program is the other 100% financing program. If you're not a veteran, which we know veterans offer 100% financing, this is another option. Rural Development, or USDA, is actually the United States Department of Agriculture. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that they have a huge department that does lots and lots of grants, loans, programs that are available to help, rural development, farmers, co-ops. Huge department. A couple of the things that they offer is rural development business loans. So, if you're in a, quote, rural area, and they define rural area by at or below 35,000 people in the total population, and that's per an area. Now, we at Supreme Lending, we have a website that we can go check for all of the things that we're going to discuss today as far as the limits and restrictions on this program. So if you call us, we can always go and check the areas and the income limits, which we're going to get to in a moment. Okay. 866-607-5667. So in addition to the business development loans, they do community facilities grants. So in a rural community, if the fire station needs upgrades or it needs to be rebuilt or they need a new fire station, USDA will grant and or loan money for that. Hospitals, town halls, all of those types of things are available through the United States Department of Agriculture. Oftentimes, they can be given in the form of grants, which basically is a no repayment type loan.
Yeah, free.
Exactly. Grant, that's free. And so really they're just kind of designed to, help and assist the rural population areas of the entire United States. It's not limited to any one state. Another thing they do is multifamily grants and loans. So if a developer, say, wanted to come in and get what's called a site loan, a rural housing site loan, buy up basically a piece of land and put housing on that land for low to moderate income families that are in rural areas. They may be farmers, they may be ranchers. The United States Department of Agriculture will give a loan to that investor specifically to put that type of housing on that site.
To do that.
Absolutely. The one that we're going to talk about today is the Single Family Housing Guaranteed USDA Loan. And that's a mouthful. But for short, we call it RD, Rural Development. I know. Let's just call it RD.
All right.
So
RD.
For this program, we at Supreme Lending offer purchase and rate and term refinance loans. Couple of the program guidelines: $417,000 max loan limit, which is pretty standard. 620 minimum FICO score, and the property must be designated in a rural area. Again, like we said, typically right around the 35,000 people or population mark, but we can check on our website that we have access to. And our website will actually allow us to type in a specific address, and it literally will pull up and say, is eligible or is not.
Exactly.
Yep. And I think I mentioned earlier, but really the best part about this program, 100% financing.
Yes.
And in addition to that, they will allow up to 102.8 loan to value. So what that means is if you have a home that you're purchasing for $100,000 and that's the sales contract price, but the appraised value, let's say, comes in at $102,800, you can actually borrow $102,800 even though your sales contract says $100,000, and that $2,800 can be used toward closing costs.
Closing costs. Yeah.
Right. So I have literally done these types of programs where my buyers get cash back at closing. So, there is a limit to the cash back, only the amount they actually pay in. But if they put down $1,000 earnest money and pay a $450 appraisal fee outside of the actual loan transaction, they're eligible to get up to $1,450 cash back at closing.
Yeah, that's huge.
Absolutely.
That's true zero down.
Literally zero down.
Literally zero down.
Yeah, to get into a home. And these homes, up to $417,000, can be an awesome, awesome home. It has to be in a rural area.
Yeah, especially if you're buying that home in a rural area because you're going to get more bang for your buck anyway.
Absolutely.
So up to $417,000, yeah, even if you bought the piece of land, yeah.
Yep. And a lot of these homes in rural areas do have land with them, so you can get a gorgeous home on a huge piece of property, possibly with acreage, for literally zero out of pocket.
Now, let me ask you this. I know VA goes up to $417, but you can go over that if the VA buyer will put money down, and it's a very complicated calculation on that amount of money. But is that a possibility with USDA as well?
It is a possibility, but it's not a probability. And here's why. There are income restrictions on USDA. So the average total household income that USDA will approve is right around $80,000. Okay, and that's total household income. Now, more than likely, if you're talking about a $450,000 home, someone with a total household income is going to have more than $80,000.
Right.
Okay. And then you also have to factor in their debt ratio. So, it's like I said, it's not probable that someone would be able to qualify and be approved for that type of purchase price, but it is possible. So in addition to financing over and above, the purchase price, you can't exceed the appraised value up to, like I said, about 2%. Okay. And then also in addition to that, if the house does not appraise for any more than the purchase price, we have a 6% seller contribution. So just like any other government loan, the seller can cover up to 6%, or in other words, all the closing costs. So there again, zero out of pocket.
Right.
It just has to qualify in this particular area. And then there are some restrictions and guidelines regarding the actual property itself. So often these are in rural areas, like we talked about. The property for Supreme Lending to lend on it has to have dependable water and waste disposal. So it doesn't have to be city sewer, but it does have to be a dependable water and waste disposal system per the city. It has to be deemed dependable, quote unquote.
So yeah, and most of these rural properties are going to be on septic. But
exactly.
And that's acceptable, just as long as it's working and functioning, and it's got its permits up to code and everything like that.
Exactly, and that's another requirement. We're going to require more than likely a septic inspection, just to make sure that it is working. It's not clogged or it doesn't need to be replaced, etc.
Yeah, and I always, when I'm working on the rural properties, I always recommend a separate inspection for that, as well as a separate inspection for the well as well. Even though your inspector can test those and test the flow rate, it's always best to also get the coliform test on the well, etc. Yeah,
and well water is acceptable on these programs as well.
Yeah,
like you said, and it's not always going to require a separate inspection. The appraiser can also notate on the septic and the well, but like you said, to protect your buyers or your sellers, it's not a bad idea to get those inspections just to make sure they know what they're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it comes to, you're going to buy a piece of rural property, water is going to be your lifeblood. So hey, spend the extra couple $100, get a professional well driller and well inspector out there. They can give you accurate numbers on pressure, flow rate, and also do the other testing of bacteria in the water as well.
Exactly. And coming from someone who grew up on septic, it's not something that you ever want to have a problem with. I can promise you.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've seen those, and they've been a mess, and that's a 180 on the buyer, and they're going to turn around and run. As long as they're taking care of the septic, especially the ones that are aerobic, those are very easy to maintain. They almost maintain themselves to a degree. And you get free irrigation out of it.
Yeah.
So those always actually work out really well.
Yeah. It's like I said, someone growing up on septic, not fun and costly. I mean, septic is probably one of the most expensive home repairs that you could possibly ever get into.
Oh, yeah.
More than foundation, more than roof.
Yeah.
It can add up to be really, really costly.
Yeah. You're looking, it could be, depending on the size of your house. Yeah. It can easily be a $25,000 if you had to put a new tank in. It is not something I would wish on anybody.
No. And like I said, the mess of, finding out that you have to replace your septic system is just as bad, I think.
Absolutely. We're at about 1 minute to go, Angela.
Okay. A couple more things on this particular program. Like VA, there is a funding fee. It's $2.75, but USDA allows you to finance it into the loan. So that is, again, not out of pocket. There is a minimal monthly mortgage insurance on USDA. It's 0.5. That's the lowest of any government loan. So payment's going to be extremely affordable on this program. And then going back to the income limits, this is not something that USDA will bend on. It's a pretty set income limit. So we have to be within those guidelines.
So great benefits of the USDA loan, zero down, great rates, great mortgage payment is what you're going to have. Folks, if you got any questions about the USDA loan at all, give myself or Angela a call. Always go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com to connect with us, and we'll get you all the information on that. We'll get you squared away. Folks, Inside Real Estate, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. It's Mike Krasinga back here next Sunday, 8 a.m., every Sunday, 8 a.m. See you next week. Neither the hosts nor the guests or contributors of the show Inside Real Estate with Mike Krasinga are attorneys, CPAs, tax advisors, or investment advisors, and are not providing legal advice during the course of the show. If you need professional legal advice or services in any of those categories, please seek